What's poppin'? It's your boy Moses, aka Nomo, chilling right here inside the Lit Out Podcast. I got a very special guest in the building. I got Mr.
Mohawk Matt from San Fernando Valley. What's up? Pleasure to be here.
Hell yeah, man. Welcome to Southgate, the first and last time you're ever going to be in Southgate, because the only time fools pull up to Southgate is to be on the Lit Out Podcast, man. Welcome.
Yikes, that's funny because I've been to Southgate a few times, dog.
Okay.
I got some homies from around here.
Yeah.
From the right by the water tower area.
Okay.
We filmed a couple spreads videos. It's a good town right here.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Southgate.
Shout out to Southgate.
You got a very interesting story. You're a pretty popular figure on Instagram. You know, yeah, you do a lot of good things, dog. But you have a crazy past, a crazy story, and definitely want to dive into it. You know, to me, what goes off the top is like you know, you were adopted, right?
Yeah, I was adopted, yeah.
You're from the Valley.
From the Valley, yes, sir.
You're the white homie. A lot of fools have white homies.
I'm the white homie, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I call myself a Woodsider.
Woodsider, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you have a crazy prison story.
Yeah.
Tatted up. And then, you know, getting out, getting clean.
Yeah.
And then you have some military background. You know, you have a crazy story. I want to get into all that shit for me.
Let's run it, yeah.
Tell me from the very beginning, dog. Like, I feel like the whole adopting thing is an interesting topic. Like, when did you find out you were adopted?
That's funny. You know what's funny? Because a lot of people bring that up and they expect me to have this weird, like, it's my reason for getting in trouble story, or
Right.
like it's just like a burden for me. But in reality, my mom always told me since I was an infant, ever since I can remember, my mom told me, you know, you're adopted, and she told me my story. But my mom is such a great lady that I never questioned it, and I never doubted that that's my mom. In my eyes, that lady loved me. I put that woman through fucking hell, and that woman stood by me. I never questioned it. I never wanted to look for my mom. I kind of just wrote it off as, well, adoption to me means that you really wanted me because you paid, you waited on a waiting list, you really wanted me, you had some trouble, you couldn't have children, and my mom has been the best friend I've ever had.
Yeah, you know, and I think a lot of people or a lot of people that like have gotten in trouble, like the one woman that usually stays by your side is your mom, right?
Yeah, it's funny because my sponsor's named Garrett, and Garrett always says, you show me a gangster that's not a mama's boy, and I'll call you a liar. Yeah. Straight up. Every one of us real G's are mama's boys, or we got grandmas to take care of us. We got something of a female strong figure in our life.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me, like, you know, like such having people who are like warriors, you know, street warriors, or prison warriors, like your backbone is really a woman, you know? Yeah,
my mom was my rock. She's my best friend to this day.
It's crazy to me too, like, you know, a lot of people would assume like, oh, I'm gonna adopt a kid and maybe not love him as much, but like, I don't know, I feel like something about people who adopt kids have like the biggest hearts, you know?
Yeah, and I think my mom, I don't want to say the word, what's the word where you enabling?
Yeah.
To some extent, my mom loved me so much, she wanted to give me the best she could. I mean, private school. I went to private Catholic elementary school, believe it or not. I was an altar boy.
Yeah.
And then, like, my mom she kind of loved me to the point where I got myself in trouble. But I chose everything that I went through. I don't have that. I grew up in the project story. I don't have my mom's a junkie story. My mom was a great, hardworking, middle-class white lady who busted her ass and then went back to college to get a psychology degree while raising my ass, who just got in trouble after trouble. So, like, I think she loved me so much that she just gave me everything I wanted.
And then you also talk a lot about your mom because obviously that you love her, right? She's been there for you. But what about your dad? Like,
my dad's a good dude too. My dad's been a hardworking Vietnam vet, Air Force. Busted his ass. I've let my poor dad. I can't imagine what it's like to adopt a child that you think is going to bring all that light into your life, and then to have someone like me just get in trouble after trouble, and then drugs, and then prison, and then get involved in stuff from prison, and come home with hateful tattoos and like all this stuff that like my dad really wasn't about. Mm-hmm. It was a letdown, and then my drug usage, we'll get into later, caused some physical stuff between me and my dad. And I mean, we're cool now, but I think there's just a lot of resentment towards me and my past behavior with him.
Okay, and then your adopted parents, or your parents, pretty much your parents, right? They're white?
Yeah, they're white, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got adopted into like a nice neighborhood, or a nicer neighborhood, right?
Okay, so I grew up in between Mission Hills and the city of Sun Valley in the San Fernando Valley. Sun Valley is a little rougher, it's a little more industrial, but it's still, I want to say it's no worse than middle class. Mission Hills is like, I want to say, teetering between lower to middle class. It's right next to Arleta and San Fernando. So it wasn't a really nice area. The Valley, a lot of people think the Valley's rich. It's not. We are just like Southgate. It's funny because what was I telling you when I'm walking up? Man, this reminds us of Arleta, Granada Hills, Mission Hills.
Yeah, a lot of houses.
Yeah, houses, cars, big backyards, nice small families. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't have that story. I kind of grew up pretty decent middle class.
And then I'm a big baseball guy, right? I'm my son's baseball coach for his travel team.
Yeah.
Tell me how your baseball story. Tell me about your baseball story.
Well, I grew up playing soccer and baseball.
Okay.
I was semi-decent at soccer, played center forward for AYSO in Granada Hills. My brother outshined me always. He was such a good soccer player. I think he went club. I think he was drafted by the Lasers. Remember the Lasers? No. Before it was the Galaxy, it was the Lasers.
Okay.
And he broke his ankle. But We were both played baseball. Also, my dad coached our teams. I tended to get a little bit better, and I had a pretty decent baseball career. Should I have stayed with it? But I played all city first base for the Yankees at Mission Hills Little League.
That's right.
I did a lot of cool stuff, but one night I had the bad choice of trying some drugs, and that changed that career real quick.
Let's get into it, dog, because I'm also like I used to tag when I was younger too, and you're big into tagging. You have a big love for tagging, right?
If I close my eyes right now, I can still smell Krylon on the 405 between Devonshire and Nordhoff. Like that's one of the things that as I've grown up and I've brought myself back to my happiest moments was graffiti.
Tell me about the graffiti scene back in your time.
In the 90s, graffiti was, I guess you would say, coming of age after the 80s, where the foundation was laid with a lot of major artists. Now, I got involved. Back then, you could be from a few crews at once. It was actually pretty popular to be from a few. I was from a few pretty decent crews, and I was kind of a bus killer. I focused on buses. It was RTD system back then, not MTA.
Okay.
And buses back then were a huge thing. I'm talking driver's sides, outsides, front windows, riding on the grill while you ride on the grill with spray paint, tagging inside, jumping on and off buses. I spent days, weeks ditching school, jumping on and off buses around the valley, catching these buses into LA, the 420s and the 560s, and freeways at night, backpacks. Before all these beautiful supplies they have for these guys now, we were limited to like 4 different types of markers, Krylon spray paint and or Rust-Oleum.
Yeah.
We had to make our own tips, so graffiti in the 90s was probably the best thing I was ever involved in.
For me, my tagging era was like 2000 and 2010 maybe.
Okay.
And even back then, like we still had to go to Walmart or fucking Home Depot and either rack cans or even straight up. I used to have a big homie that used to buy the $1 cans for us.
Okay.
Our big homie and shit like that.
Yeah.
How would you guys get your hands on cans?
Well, we have to steal. See, okay, so in our era, I'm come from the era of Kmart's, Walmart's, Osh, Lowe's, Home Depot, Target's.
Target had cans?
Yeah, but they had them locked. They have locks on the sliding glass door. So we figured out ingenious ways to break the locks, find it, and then we would break the locks and leave them so they never knew they were locked, so we could come in and out and get as many cans as we want.
Okay.
And fill up our big old Levi's or our Jankos or our cross-color pants that we would wear with fucking 6 cans around and dip out. And it was just Krylon or Rust-Oleum back then.
And then back then, like nowadays, you see fools going into like the Gucci store and stealing a bunch of shit, and they don't do nothing to them. Back then, like shoplifting was a bigger crime. Let me tell you something.
None of that shit. Back then, if you get stopped, security guards would whoop your ass and then call the cops. Yeah. So you're getting your ass kicked, and then you're being held in a room by an undercover until the target lets the police come arrest you. Yeah. It's a double whammy back then. Yep. None of that shit you see today was going on back then. Yeah. Stores would beat your ass and then have you arrested.
Yeah. Other than tagging, were you like as a young age, maybe a teenager or like preteen, were you into other types of crimes?
I mean, not really. I didn't really do drugs till later. I wasn't really into drugs. I think I tried marijuana once. It wasn't for me. Cigarettes, nope. I wasn't really in it. It was just graffiti, sports. I was juggling them both, and that was my passion.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you on that. Yeah, sports and graffiti. Now, you did go to private school in the beginning, and then you switched over to like a public school.
I got kicked out of the private school.
Okay, what happened? How'd you
Excuse me. I was an altar boy at St. Ferdinand's in the city of San Fernando, and Catholic elementary. Now, here's where I want to say my racial choice began. I went to a private school in the city of San Fernando, which is like the heart. The valley's named after this city, the Mission City. Mm-hmm. Great, one of my favorite cities. I was like one of 4 whites in an all Mexican private school, which for me, I didn't know any different. And I started to struggle with being a white boy. I remember coming home like, Mom, why are my eyes blue? All my homies are brown. Why do I have this white blonde hair as a kid? Like, why do I stand out?
Yeah.
And but it also raised me to where like I was being like ingrained with like, this is my culture now. So I'm one of those white boys that always like, man, I grew up with Mexicans. I grew up with Mexicans. I love them as much as my own. Like I consider myself one.
Yeah.
Like straight the fuck up. And I will never deny that to anybody. And like it raised me. It helped mold me, my culture, my style, my dress code, my love of cars. Hell, I even listen to Chalino. Don't get me twisted, dog. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's my shit. And like me and my group of friends, we were all raised like that. The Valley was always like that. So that kind of helped me decide. I got in trouble at the elementary school. I remember my 7th grade, 1 year before graduation, I got angry and threw an apple at my teacher. I got kicked out.
Damn.
Then that catapulted me into public school.
So you're forced into public school.
Forced into public school, yeah.
You know, and also too, like the Mexican culture, especially like the LA homies,
Yeah.
right? The Chicanos, like we're very like, I guess I would say like, I don't know, from the inside looking out, right? We're kind of inviting. Like if you're down, if you're from like my best friend growing up was black. You know, I had my neighbor who was black. He was my best friend, right? And we didn't care. We would rip on him and tell him to be the most racist jokesters of all time.
Oh yeah, I got called every white gava fucking güero, every joke you could, but they still love me. And it's just like you said, like if I proved myself, I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great for me, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Do you think if you would have been born or like raised in a different area or different people, you still would have came out the way you did right now?
I mean, I would assume. I think where you grow up and who you grew up with has a lot to do with how you make your bones. But I think the Valley is so enmeshed like that I think I probably still would have focused. I would have filtered that way because I gravitated towards that anyway. Even when I left that private school into public school, even my other white friends, they were all just like that too. I eventually met a bunch of other white guys that were like me that grew up with that culture as well. So we kind of all gravitated together. At the same time though, I'll tell you, I'm a white boy. I'm not one of those dudes that I'm not embarrassed and say I'm white. No, I'm white, but I grew up with you guys and I fucking love it.
Hell yeah. You know, I mean, I grew up in LA right here in Southgate. I was born in East LA, but raised here since I was like 3. So I'm basically just from Southgate, right? Yeah. Now, we don't know a lot about the Valley when we're over here because LA is a really big, or like, you know, Southern California is really big, right? Yeah. But, you know, some people might assume that the Valley's all nice and sweet, right? But,
it's not.
Yeah, tell me about the Valley.
Bro, the Valley, like, I can't tell you how, I mean, I love the Valley, bro. I'm all about the Valley. And the Valley is almost just like LA. Well, we're all a part of LA County. Okay. But the Valley's kind of separate. Like Valley cats won't tell you they're from LA. Right. We'll be like, we're Valleros or we're from the Valle. Yeah. We're from the Valley. Like we know we're in the LA County, but we're not going to let you know we're part of the LA city. And most of us Valley cats, we don't get LA tattoos either. Okay. We're from the Valley. We keep it separate. And but then again, you look at it, we're kind of the same. I mean, we know we have our own little style and culture. We're a little bit more Vans and Chucks sometimes. But bro, we have our cruising spots. We've got Laurel Canyon. We've got fucking Van Nuys Boulevard. We have, growing up, we have all of our cruising spots, our lowrider culture. Bro, we have some of the worst gangs in LA. We don't have as many as LA, but we've got like, there's a couple Sun Valley gangs in Pacoima. Bro, those gangs are hitting as hard as like Florence and some of them. Yeah. They're just in the Valley. Right. We've got some serious shit going on in the Valley too. It's just like LA.
Then tell me, like, over here in Southgate, we've always had, like, our own police department. Yeah. And the neighboring cities that can't afford it, they have the sheriffs, right? Yeah. What is it over? Is it LAPD over there?
We're all LAPD. We have 2 cities. The city of Burbank and the city of San Fernando are private PDs. Now, those are the worst ones. Those 2 cities will fuck you up. They'll arrest you for putting a sticker on a bus bench. Damn. Burbank. San Fernando is known for being very brutal. You don't fuck around in San Fernando either. Even though that's a really dangerous city, they don't play.
And then over here, too, in Southgate, we had, like, a gang unit.
We have gang crash unit. Bro, the crash unit in the 90s was treacherous. Well, we're responsible for Rodney King. That's our foothill division. Okay. That happened right in Lakeview Terrace, right behind Pacoima in the Valley. That division was known for whooping your ass and dropping you off in your enemy's neighborhood. Damn. I got dropped off in Pacoima like 3 times. And growing up, as I grew up, where my dad's second home in Sun Valley, I was from a neighborhood in Sun Valley. I mean, I always will be. I'm from a neighborhood in Sun Valley. And Pacoima was our worst enemy. We used to have to hide going down Laurel Canyon to get in and out of the neighborhoods from Pacoima. And those foothill cops back in the 90s, they will fuck you up and leave you in the projects. They're not playing.
Tell me the story about the first time you smoked crack, dog.
Good Lord. Well, like, to keep it going, like the graffiti eventually throughout the 90s, if anybody knows that journey, turned into gangs. Yeah. We eventually made the choice due to some things that happened to our tagging crew had to join a gang. It just happened. We weren't pushed into it. We had to do it because of outlying issues that were going on. A couple of our friends went to jail. There was a lot of us acting like gangs. We were getting pressure from the inside. Hey, look, you guys motherfuckers want to act like a gang. Join one or become one. Now, obviously, my crew was like, I don't know, 10 white guys and like 3 Mexicans and a black guy. We weren't strong enough to be our own gang. We weren't dumb. So we joined a gang that I was really close with and friends with in Sun Valley. And great group of guys, solid motherfuckers. And, you know, peer pressure. Gang life, the transition to gang life it's an eye-opener. It's something you have to learn, especially coming from a bunch of taggers that half of us are white anyway. And it was a learning experience, but there's a lot of good memories. There's a lot of great dudes. And, you know, when you go to war with people, you make some bonds that you can't break. There's a lot of dudes in Sun Valley that some of them have died. Some of them ain't coming home. Dudes I love. And, as that evolved, I started selling drugs. I became a pretty decent drug dealer when I transitioned to the gang life. Graffiti kind of got put on pause. And but we had to learn a lot of things like green light. My neighborhood had a green light for a long time. Now, the green light, not fun. Thank God we got it off eventually, but that shit was treacherous growing up in the 90s because we had to get through 7 different neighborhoods sometimes just to get across the valley. And we have like a flashing beacon on us.
Yeah.
And as I'm selling drugs, I never tried drugs till I was 21. And when I first tried drugs, my first thing I ever tried was I let my homeboy Chubbs, I love him. I hate him and I love him for doing this, but it's my fault. Peer pressure. He convinced me in the city of Arleta to try crack cocaine in the front seat of his he had a Monte Carlo luxury sport. And I'll never forget sitting in the front seat of that 86 car.
What year was this?
I don't remember the year. I just remember I was 21.
Okay.
And I tried crack and it was immediate. Crack in the 90s, picture New Jack City and Chris Rock. Remember that scene where he's smoking, where he's shaking? Now, mind you, you don't get to that place for about a week if you steady smoke crack. But that first time smoking crack, life was, I just knew, I had the feeling in my balls, this is not good because it's too good.
Yeah.
And within a week time, slowly but surely, I started becoming a non-reliable gang member. My drug business is failing. The homies don't trust me. My hygiene is suffering. I'm starting to become a dirtbag that will steal from you. So I went from this white guy that got jumped into this neighborhood and was proving myself, looking really cool with a group of friends right on my side that I brought to this hood, that now I'm starting to look like, man, this dude's not reliable. Look what he did. He put in all this work. His homies he brought are doing good. And then half of us are smoking crack. And then half my neighborhood gets addicted to crack at the same time. So my whole neighborhood started to fall apart because we're all smoking crack in the 90s.
Was crack like a thing that like the homies did, or is that something that you guys have
Well,
to hide?
number one, this is my comment to a lot of people in regards to like the crisis we're seeing on the streets today with the urban campers. They're not homeless. They're not disenfranchised, houseless, whatever the term is. They're urban campers. If any of that would have went on in the 90s, my homeboys would have whooped my ass. I come from the era where the older homies will beat your ass for acting like that. If you're smoking crack on a bus bench in front of kids and women, trust and believe, your homeboys don't want you being a representative of the neighborhood like that. They will fuck you up. So like I had to hide it for the most part. I couldn't come around the hood. I couldn't act. You can't act like that. You're not showing up barefoot begging people for money. Those are the levels crack took. Crack took me down to a place where I walk around Sepulveda barefoot. It was a horrible experience for me, and I did not know how to get off of it.
But like a lot of your homies were doing it too.
A lot of my homeboys. We went from a green light gang banging ass hood, putting in work for a small neighborhood, to a lot of us smoking crack. And the ones that weren't just were ashamed of us.
Do you feel like I feel like there was more gang members before, and I feel like now people are just skipping over the gang and going straight into the drugs?
Well, I feel like the culture of gangs has kind of changed.
Okay.
Gangs are now evolving into like, dude, I saw homies are wearing skinny jeans and Crocs with these Edgar haircuts. I mean, hey, no disrespect, that's not my era. It's weird to see that. Dudes on videos showing guns, saying stuff they're not supposed to say. I try to limit and watch what I say for the most part because some of the stuff we shouldn't be talking about.
Right. And
I remember just the cultures are changing. It's a different, to watch what's going on. We did have greater numbers back in the day. Because back in the day, motherfuckers were getting jumped in. They were actually, if you live in a hood and you're hanging out, you're getting put on whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
There's none of that shit where you're going to wear that fucking Sun Valley jersey and you're not going to be from the hood shit. It was a way different time back then.
And then like, right after that, you started smoking crack, you started getting into more trouble and started doing crazier shit? Or like,
yeah, well, crack took me down to a level where I'm robbing from you. I'm robbing from my parents. I'm stealing from anyone I could. It was horrible, man. It was horrible.
Because, you know, I've always, I started drinking when I was 12, right? I've always had to battle with like alcoholism. And then alcohol will take you down this road where you try different drugs. Because when you start drinking with people like to drink and smoke weed and do this and that. Did you also get into like drinking or other drugs?
No, I've never really been into alcohol. The only time I drank alcohol was to get myself off meth when I transferred to meth later. I'm not really an alcoholic. If I had 2 shots of whiskey, I'll pass out on your couch. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and like for me, it was I always knew that drinking was bad.
Yeah,
and in the back of my mind, like, you know, I always came up with stupid reasons, like, oh, this is how I'm more of a it's easier for me to talk to a girl if I'm
You're more
drunk.
social when you drink. Yeah,
or I'm having a drink with the homies or this and that. Like, did you know when you were smoking crack? Like, were you trying to stop for a long time, or you like?
Yeah, I couldn't. I could not save my life. To save my life, my mom put me in a few different rehabs. Just nothing was working. Nothing was working.
Okay, and then like, you know, when I see you right now, you're a big dude. Right.
I was skinny, filthy, disgusting. I mean, sometimes I'd be walking around trying to beg for money. I pee in my shorts. I mean, crack just took me to a place that's humiliating and embarrassing.
Were you already into tattoos by this point?
Yeah, I had some tattoos, yeah.
Okay. When was your first tattoo?
I had my graffiti crew, and I had my graffiti name right here on my forearms.
Yeah, and I feel like before too, like tattoos like meant something or you had to earn them.
Yeah.
Now, there's nothing wrong.
Well, you
with,
definitely had to earn some of them.
There's nothing wrong with being tatted up, but I feel like a lot of fools get tatted. Like maybe back in the day, I feel like you would get tattoos where you can't see them first, and then
that's how I started. I started with the under the shirt, half sleeve under the shirt. Any of that stuff wasn't seen, and then it, like you said, a lot. You had to earn a lot of those things. You see a lot of kids today with some of the stuff from culture that, like, yeah, it might be your culture, but some of that stuff has very heavy significance when you go to jail.
Yeah.
If you have not earned those things, I don't care what book or what your culture says on the streets. You need to earn some of these things. These are very significant tattoos. You have to be very careful with them. You shouldn't be getting them in a shop either.
Was that also like you guys will talk about that shit? Like, oh, you can only get this tattoo.
Yeah, you're only supposed to get. Some of these. My homeboys, that was the different generations. Homeboys would school you in my generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get that one yet. You got to earn that one. We got to wait. But they're not doing that today.
And I feel like too, back in the day, there was a lot of more big homie talk.
Yeah, we had big homie. We had homies that would school us. And today, like I just saw on Instagram, you see the kids are starting on their face today.
Yeah.
They think it's cool. They're starting on their face. They've got nothing anywhere else, but there's an AK-47. I mean, come on, stop.
Yeah,
stop.
I feel like there's a lot less. There's always been homies that will come back or like big fools that like, hey, don't do this, don't do that. And then, you'll be a knucklehead. Like I had a big homie that just came out into 10 years and he would always tell me like, go home, stop hanging around. Like,
the older homies would tell us stuff like that back in the day. Man, put that gun away, go home to your mom.
Yeah.
Even though we're both from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you still had that kind of like schooling. I don't think that's happening today.
And then I had the choice to not listen, right? And I wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
And so finally, for me, dog, it took me one time to go to fucking the county jail, do my little fucking 3-4 months or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm done. Like the county is not for me, dog.
It's serious, and people don't realize how serious the county is. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. How was your experience the first time in the county?
It was okay. I mean, it was just. I mean, being a white boy, it was okay. I mean, I had the distinctive choice that I made in the county jail because I'm white. My neighborhood was in a kind of like a transitional period where they were just a gang that hadn't really hit. We had a green light. There wasn't any of that South Side stuff. So I stayed with the white boys. I'm a white boy.
Yeah.
I've never denied that. I am from a neighborhood, and some people get pissed off. I don't really care.
Yeah. And also too, like you're big on Instagram. You have a huge following. You have like a lot of pictures you post. To me, it feels like almost daily you're posting dope pictures.
I post twice a day. I do anything personal that I do for myself that I like in the evening because of the times that help with like the rotation of Instagram's algorithm.
Yeah.
In the morning by 10 a.m. I post for my company Sullen. Every day we have a shirt that comes out or something, some kind of drop. So I make sure to get the sales ads up in the morning, and then in the evening is the stuff that I do personally that I like.
Now I feel like also too, there's a lot of people in the comments talking shit. Do you get more shit in the comments than in real life?
No, I mean, but believe it or not, I get a lot of good feedback. Every now and then you get some hater that will say something that's like just dumb. But you know what I mean? There's always going to be a hater. Yeah. There was this comment my boy said the other day. It's with new levels comes new devils. And there's just a lot of people. The more I grind, the bigger I get, the more people get angry and will say something. Oh, remember when you were a kid and you stayed out and you told on me for coming home. I mean, bring up kid shit. Like, come on, homie, miss me with that shit. That's fucking.
Yeah, I get a lot of hate in the comments for like different things, people expressing their opinions and shit like that. But I
just delete the comment. Ain't no big deal.
I feel like a lot of fools feel like they get real tough on Instagram behind a fake profile.
Exactly, and the profile's got like a Yu-Gi-Oh or a Yu-Gi-Oh picture, and you've got 4 followers, and then the one picture you have is you and a dog in a forest. Come on, stop, miss me with that.
Yeah, but basically, like no one really tells you shit up to your face, right?
I mean, not yet. Knock on wood. I mean, I'm not trying to have confrontations, but at the same time, like I do a lot of things, and I'm out there. So like, but then again, I try to conduct myself pretty cool. I'm really respectful. I fuck with everybody across the board. And I try to give my time back to half these companies I work with. I help out so many companies, servants, hood raised. My company's Sullen, but any company that needs my help, I'm willing to show up and help them for pictures, for events. I fuck with so many other people that it's amazing.
How did you get involved with these companies?
Well, it started with Sullen. When I got sober, my mom used to buy me Sullen clothing, which I already loved before I started using drugs, and she used to buy it for me every week to help me kind of dangle the carrot to help me get sober. And after about 9 months, she stopped buying me Sullen, and then I got a year sober and gave her a present. And
what'd you give her?
I forget what I got her. I just got her something really cool. I think I got her flowers and something else. But that was my way to tell her thank you, because I got to the year and then I was on my own. So then I started taking pictures, my own little selfies and shit, little gay ass selfies, myself in the mirror with one of the Sullen t-shirts. Well, eventually I got to the attention and I met the owner of Sullen Clothing, Uncle Jeremy. He's a great dude. And he said, fuck it, let's put you in some modeling. And I started modeling, a junkie at my age, over 40, modeling.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing videos. And then he gave me one of the pages. I run the Sullen family. I help out running the Sullen clothing main page. I help recruit models. I help distribute clothing to other models. I help organize photo shoots. I do videos. I do sales. I get companies to carry our brand in their shop. I travel and do tattoo conventions now.
Did you ever see in your path down the road that you would become a model?
No, I never. I always kind of knew I kind of wanted to see if I get into like background acting. But I never expected to be like a model. No.
How does it feel?
It's okay. I mean, I like it.
Does it fuck with your psyche a little bit? Because if you think about modeling, you think about like, some GQ shit. Like modeling has this like this.
Yeah, but now what we're seeing with Instagram is modeling has 300 different shapes to it.
Yeah.
There's plus size. There's the weird sex side. There's the urban side. I like to stay in that urban niche.
Okay.
I fuck with the shit. I fuck with street look. Tattoos and shit like Sullen and these other companies I help out. Those are my people. I like to fuck with our culture. I call it.
And like I said, like since you're like the white homie, right? Like
yeah.
When you have a white homie or a black homie, around a bunch of Mexicans, you stand out, right?
Yeah.
Are people starting like have people recognize you in the street? People know who you are
when
you walk in and shit like that?
Sometimes it happened on the freeway once. It was weird. Dude pulled up next to me, and made me roll my window down. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me some of the experiences of people recognize you. How does that
they're
make
cool.
you feel?
People, it's nice to have someone come up, and especially because I talk about recovery on my page.
Yeah.
People know they can reach out to me and talk about drugs, and I've had mothers reach out to me. People walk up to me, some mom or some man, your story. I saw your interview on YouTube, and God, it explains. Now I know why my son did that. I'm able to talk to people. That's what I like. I get the people that walk up, oh, what's up, Mohawk? I seen you on this. Yeah, that's cool. We take a picture. I love it. But what means the more to me is when like some mom reached out to me recently and is like, you know what? I never understood why my son did that. I hated him for what he did. And she goes, when I heard you explain it and how you loved your mom and you just didn't know how to stop, she goes, I was able to talk to my son finally and say, I forgive you.
Yeah.
So when I get to help people like that, that's what means the most.
And I feel like you had to make some sacrifices, right? Like maybe you're helping other people with their relationship with their parents, but you had to make some sacrifices with your own family, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I destroyed my family, bro. I had to go through that. So people say, would you change something? No, I wouldn't. I'd go through the graffiti to the gangs, to the jail, to the drugs. I'd have to do it all again because now I'm helping people. And if I can help someone or some mother reconnect with her son, like, because I destroyed my mom. I destroyed my mom's home. I hit my father one night when I was under the influence of meth. If I can help some family fix that dynamic, I love that.
Mohawk Matt. Was that your tagging name?
No,
Mohawk?
it's funny. It's funny, but my tagging name is Effects.
Effects, EFFX?
AFEX. AFEX, yeah. And Mohawk was a name. I used to have a mohawk when I moved cities and kind of settled down and my drug addiction picked up a little bit heavier. I had a mohawk for a while because I was always like, back in the day I was into weird like 80s rock, gothic rock, shit like that back in the 90s and the late 80s. And so I always had like a little small mohawk. After when I moved out and when I changed cities and I started to thin out when I was in prison. My hair started to get real thin in the back, so I ended up having 2 mohawks, and I pushed it as long as I could till finally one of the homies said, hey, dog, it's time to let that shit go, dog.
Wait, you had like a patch? I was like, go, stop,
I had like a half and then a circle and then a back patch, and the homie was like, hey, dog, like I love you, homie, but shave that shit. Please, for all of us, please shave it. And so I actually, if you could have seen, I have a mohawk tattooed on my head in mohawk letters like a mohawk.
Oh, that's tight.
So that's where it came from.
That's tight.
Yeah.
You have this, shout out to a soft white underbelly, dog. I saw your interviews, but you're like one of the only fools to have a double. He doubled back on you. He had 2 interviews with him. How was that experience with soft white underbelly?
It was cool. Mark's a cool guy. He just asked you a couple quick questions and you got to run with it. But he's a good dude. I like being on his show. It helped me out greatly. Being on that show not only once but twice, and greatly increased my chances. All kinds of shows have reached out to me since then because of that.
Do you feel like, social media is like a double-edged sword where like it could help you, but it could also destroy you? I
feel like I agree with that. Yeah, it does take up a lot of my time. It takes you away from family.
Right.
It is definitely a double-edged sword.
For sure.
And again, it goes back like you have to watch what you say and do. Some of these things, some people say, I don't feel that just because you've been to prison, you shouldn't be saying certain things about prison.
Yeah.
You should not. There's certain things we don't. It's like whoever's going to watch this has no business really knowing or understanding what goes on in the joint. If you want to understand the joint, go to the joint.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff that goes on in there needs to stay there. It's for our safety and our protection. Whether you're a homie, a white boy, a black, it doesn't matter. Some of the stuff that I've heard people talk about, it's almost like, wow, that's weird. Like, would never tell you how to smuggle dope into Chino. Like, why would you talk about that? The thing about, I might be sober and I've changed my life, but I also respect that life. I still respect it, and I love those people. And if they're still doing it, I have to support them. It's their choice. I'm not going to turncoat on them. I'm not going to do none of that shit. And some of those people still need the security of what they're going through. And when you talk about it and put it out there, you don't know who's watching these shows.
All right, dog. So I also want to talk about like the tattoo culture for you, dog.
Cool.
We touched on it a little bit, right? But what are some of your favorite tattoos and maybe your least favorite tattoos?
Well, when I came home from prison, I did a lot of my change. I removed a lot of the prison tattoos. A lot of them that just didn't have any place out here in the world. I removed them. And then I've been since then covering up and changing a lot of the stuff I got in the joint, making it new for the streets. And because I work in the industry, I have access to a lot of beautiful, amazing artists, man. I could give so many shout outs, fucking Big Sleeps and Ozzy and Joey Mullins and fucking Ralph Nonweiler, Big Gus. There's just Droopy at SoCal Tattoos, Joker in San Diego. There's so many guys that have helped me transition as I've gotten sober and done a lot of the therapy and the change work to become a better person out here. I've changed a lot, removed a lot, and blasted over and covered up a lot of that bad stuff I had in prison. So, now, not necessarily that it's bad because of culture or gang-wise, but just some of the time, some of the stuff we get in prison when we're locked down is just dumb. Yeah. I've had some stuff when I see it, I'm like, why would I do that? What the hell, just filling a spot with an Adidas girl off a picture?
Yeah.
So dumb. So, like, I mean, I've got so many tattoos, but, like, my favorite ones are, like, I've started, as I've gotten older, and I'm more comfortable with my white side, I've gotten really interested in our culture and Viking. I have some Viking in my history, so I've gotten really into, like, my left side is kind of like all my Cholo stuff, and my right side is a lot of Viking stuff. So I've been getting a lot of this really cool Viking stuff after studying and learning about it, and I've got a few pieces over here, blast over some big stuff. My butt cheeks was not fun. I got both my butt cheeks done. And
yeah, tell me about which ones hurt the most.
I want to say, okay, your butt's not fun at all. My left butt cheek is a big-ass jack-o'-lantern, a pumpkin. My right one's got a girl with a sullen hat on. Sick. And your butt cheek is extremely painful. It's not fun. Your rib cage sucks. Your belly sucks. But the biggest thing I can say is as you get older, tattoos hurt worse and worse. It's not fun as you get older.
Do you do anything while you're getting tatted, or you just take the pain?
Well, now, okay, so I've lasered off a lot of tattoos. My whole face around the side, my chest, back of my leg, my inner arms, laser, and my dick. I lasered my dick. So there's a lot of, laser sucks. If anybody's been through laser, it's not as easy as you think. It's like 6 sessions maybe per tattoo, coming back every couple weeks. That was horrible. And then now I'm at the age where I'm on like my 3rd round of tattoos, doing blast overs, cover ups, and I'm covered to my toes, my Johnson, my legs, my butt cheeks, everywhere. I've got like a couple tiny spots left.
Yeah.
So at this point, about a year ago, I've started using some of that numbing cream. I don't really care what anybody says. At my age, I've earned the right to use it. I think the kids that start on their first neck tattoo, you should not be using it. You have to go through it.
There's some celebrities that like go under anesthesia. How do you feel about that?
Well, number one, if you have $60,000 to spend, it's something like that because you have to pay for an anesthesiologist to monitor your vitals the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then you're paying for a couple artists. I've seen it's usually a couple guys tattooing you at once.
Yeah.
First of all, if you have the money like that, and that just sounds like a waste of money. Like, just do it in sessions. But I feel like if you don't have any tattoos and that's how you're starting, you're kind of cheating.
Yeah.
Because I had to earn my ink, had to earn tattoos, earn certain symbols. You had to earn a lot of the stuff you got, and you also have to earn just a tattoo. You have to earn a tattoo with the pain you go through.
Yeah.
When you start. You should at least have sleeves and legs done before you even use numbing cream, or before you even consider trying something that would stop the pain. You have to earn that pain. At my level, I've earned it. I'm 46 and my body's been done 3 times over. I can use numbing cream.
You know, my first tattoos, dog. Yeah. We were on the block and some fool just paroled. Yeah. And he came home with the prison gun.
Yeah.
It was like
a pancake round motor,
pen cap, something. Super, yeah. It was super ugly. And the homie came through to the block and he had 2 girls, naked girls, like making out with each other on his leg. Yeah. And we thought it was the coolest shit, dog. Yeah. We thought it was the coolest shit.
Well, that's a lot of stuff you see in prison. There's a lot of like pornographic tattoos. I got homies with girls spreading their butt cheeks open on their arm and like, yikes, would you really want that out in the world right now? Yeah. Imagine going to Walmart with your mom and you got butt cheeks spread apart. Hey,
and definitely if I had access or money to get tattoos maybe 5-10 years ago, I would probably have like Dodger tattoos, Raider tattoos. And now as I get older, I'm not that big into following sports like that. I would kind of feel like I would regret some of my tattoos. But
you definitely do as time changes. Like a lot of the stuff I see, I'm like, damn, why did I do that? But luckily today with my friends, let's just change it. I can cover it up with the ink so good, or you can just change it today. Yeah. And I like that. I like tattoos are constantly evolving, and I'm constantly changing and adding or fixing or going over old stuff.
I want to talk about some of the tattoos on your face. What does it say in your eyelids?
My eyelid says Viking, Viking across. Shout out to Pizzarone.
How did you learn about the Vikings, and what made you want to look into it? How did you find out that you're part
Well,
Viking?
I learned in when I went to jail, being from a gang and being a white boy, you're hit with that cultural question like I was, and I spent a lot of time reading. When I was in a joint, I read 6,617 books.
Damn.
I'm on the 6,618th right now. So I started to learn more about like my history and my culture. And I've got Viking, I've got Celtic Welsh, Celtic Scottish in my background, which mixed with some of the Vikings. And I started to learn about the symbols and like the mythology and like the religious aspect of it. So I got really into it. And again, it has nothing to do with like why it really doesn't. There's no like racist aspect to it. The people who are confused are going to think that and assume that, but Vikings weren't racist. They wouldn't have even known what that was.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people too, like, Mexico's a big country, and a lot of people get Aztec tattoos.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. All my Mexican homies got Aztecs and Aztec warriors, Aztec jaguars, and shields and symbols, and that's great. Like, but when I get it, I'm not racist for getting Viking stuff because it's my history.
Yeah, but like I feel like the Aztec Empire was a huge empire that took over lots of little tribes, and some people don't even know if they're Aztec or not. They're just kind of getting it because it's cool.
I feel like a lot of people, just like a lot of white boys, probably will jump on the Viking trend,
right?
Just like that. You're right. Yeah.
If you're adopted, how do you know you're Viking? Is just because you did it like
my mom? Well, when you're adopted, and my mom got me. I hate this. This sounds really weird when you say it, but I guess I got my papers with me. I got a pack of paperwork that showed who my mom was, her age, where I'm from, my cultural background, and I'm like a tiny bit Irish, French, Celtic, Scottish, and Celtic Welsh.
Yeah, you never went looking up for your real mom?
I would never disrespect my mom. My mom.
You feel like it's disrespectful?
Hell yeah, I feel like I'd be disrespecting my mom. My mom's a great lady who I put through hell and who I love and gave me the best. And I feel like I don't know why my mom, the mother who had me, I don't know why she did it. She had her reasons. I think because she was extremely young. Mm-hmm. She was like 14 or something like that, I think.
Oh, shit.
So, but at the end of the day, she made a decision. She chose to give me up. My mom wanted me. That's a wrap. That's where it ends for me.
Sometimes when I was younger, dog, and I was getting in trouble and shit like that, I used to love to blame my dad. And my dad was a real hard ass, he wouldn't let me do shit. So I was also rebelling and shit. Did you ever have that feeling of rebelling against your parents?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Everybody hates their parents in high school. Dropped me off down the block, mom.
Yeah.
Fucking my dad. My dad never liked anything I did. I joined the Navy. He was in the Air Force. Wasn't good enough. Oh. I like baseball more than soccer. He's a football fan. Like growing up, there was like no pleasing my dad. But as I've grown, I realized, damn, every single thing. I've been telling my mom this a lot lately. Every single thing my fucking dad told me
was right.
And I'm now doing exactly what my dad told me, and he's at a level where he can't see it because he's still angry at me for being a drug addict.
Bro, I have that revelation all the time. Where if I would have just listened to my dad.
My dad said this. Why didn't I listen?
Yeah. What do you think that is about being a young man not wanting to listen to your dad? Like I was listening to the big homies. I was watching movies, listening to rap music. I was like looking for a fucking father figure in places when I had one at home the whole time.
Yeah, me too. I'd listen to the homies. And it's funny, the homies would tell me the same thing my dad did, but it sounded better coming from the homies. Yeah. So like that, but the homie said this. He's like, asshole, I told you that.
Yeah.
You know? So, I don't know.
Are you experiencing being a father now?
I have a 23-year-old. He doesn't talk to me much. My choices, when I started going to prison pretty heavy, when I remember having my son when he was like 3 and I was taking him to daycare, and he's got a cool mom. We hooked up for like one of those like in a side room at a party. We had sex like 4.5 minutes for both of us. Left, ended up having a kid out of it. And when I finally found out, I did my best to try and be there and taking him to daycare. One day I realized I was still gangbanging. I had selling drugs. I had a 9mm in his diaper bag, and I remember dropping him off and coming back and seeing this gun in the diaper bag, and I'm like, I can't be a dad. It's not good for me. It's not good for him. This kid deserves way better than I can ever offer him. And I remember I went to jail right after that, and she contacted me, and she goes, "What the and this woman, she gave me hundreds of chances. Never hit me for child support. Just wanted me to be his dad. Didn't give a fuck. Just please be his dad. Stop doing drugs. Be his dad. Didn't want to be with me either. Was probably the best example of a baby mama anybody in America had. Not a bad looking white girl. You know what I mean? A really pretty blonde with big blue eyes, and my son looks just like me minus the tattoos. And she said, "Look, I won't charge you. I'm not going to sweat you. Do your thing. Just stop doing drugs and be his dad." And I couldn't. I remember when I'm looking at this gun after dropping off daycare, I remember coming out, I'm like, I was more interested in flirting with the girls working in the daycare than actually making sure my son had his lunch and he was safe at daycare. And seeing this gun that I was hiding in his diaper bag, to me, that was just like, what kind of a piece of shit does that? I went to jail not long after that, and she contacted me and she goes, dude, what? And after me being in jail for a while, she said, you're not going to stop, are you? Because my plan when I finally went to jail for the last time was, I'm going and I'm going to get involved in whatever I can. I'm not coming home. And she finally hit me with the papers and she asked me to sign away my rights, and I did. I thought it was that was the best decision I could make for that kid. Let him have a chance at someone else. And I guess her boyfriend at the time ended up adopting him. He's a great dude. His name's Kenny. He was a great guy. He helped raise my son. And then when I finally got out and I realized I finally get released from prison and I'm going through all this change, and I'm realizing I'm removing tattoos. I'm trying to get sober. I'm trying to restructure my life to figure out what's left after prison and gangs and drugs. I realized, wow, what did I do? Now you can't unchange signing away your rights. Now he's been adopted to some other father. He's got some other guy's name. She won't talk to me anymore because according to her new husband doesn't want her talking to me. And I understand. I mean, it's his wife. I respect that. But I found him on Instagram, and we're friends on Instagram, and I talk to him every now and then. He kind of told me the first time I talked to him, you made me, you ain't my dad. Which, man, that's gangster. Yeah. That's gangster as fuck.
And that must suck hearing it, though.
It does, but he's right. How do I argue that? So every now and then I try to send him some clothes from Sullen, and he wears them because he goes motocross, and he's a good kid. He's 23. I've tried to meet up with him a few times. He wanted a tattoo. I tried to hook him up with a tattoo. He went and got on his own, but he doesn't seem real interested in meeting up with me, and I understand that. And I know that I'm smart enough to know that when I get a chance to sit with him, it's got to be under his conditions.
Yeah.
So I just every now and then send him a message and see how he's doing, and that's it. It's hard, but
I want to get into about you joining the military.
Yeah.
What was your thought process on that?
Well, originally I did it because I was trying to get out of trouble. I had some charges that were coming up, and I didn't want to go back to prison, so I enlisted in the Army. Army didn't work out. I had a friend. If you've seen my Soft White Underbelly interview, I had a friend that was murdered with me right before we were supposed to ship out to the
boot camp.
to part for boot camp for the Army, and Army turned me down, so I enlisted in the Navy real quick. They picked me up. They didn't really care. Shipped out boot camp.
The Army turned you down because of your friend got murdered?
Yeah, I was enlisted. I was ready to leave to boot camp like in a couple days. Me and my homie that was going with me went out to party. He got murdered in my car.
And they found out, and then you're...
Oh, yeah, his mother kicked off a fucking... I mean, I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I took her son out to party, and he was killed and he wasn't just killed. His head was blown off in my car. Pretty bad. Pretty bad, yeah.
Now, I think a lot of people assume that if you get in trouble or you're in prison, you can't join the military.
I don't know about prison, but I know the Navy in the 90s was taking people with felonies. Air Force, I don't think does. I know the Marines doesn't. The Army is questionable, but the Navy was easier to join.
Yeah, because I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to be a Marine, and then right around 18, I got in trouble and I got a felony and a strike, and I couldn't go in.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you did in the Navy.
I was a fireman. I was DC-2 on the SS Constellation. That's decommissioned. And fireman, maintenance guy. It was cool. Aircraft carrier.
You guys to go on the ship and everything?
Yeah, we were deployed in Africa, and then, yeah.
How was Africa?
Well, I didn't see Africa. I was on the ship.
You were like off the coast?
Off the coast, yeah. You got Egypt right there. You got the Middle East on the other side, and water's warm. You got to be careful on those ships. If you fall off a ship, imagine having to turn an aircraft carrier that's the size of a city around. They're not coming back to get you, so you got to be careful.
So you fall off, you're fucked?
Basically, I mean, and if you know the African waters, there's so many sharks in schools, and these are the sharks that in California people don't realize shark will bite you on accident. A great white might be the biggest, but actually the small ones are more dangerous in groups because California, it'll bite you on accident and then spit your leg out because it realizes, wait, you're not a sea lion or an otter. Over there, these motherfuckers will rip you limb to limb, swallow you, eat you, and shit you out because they're man eaters, hammerheads, and tiger sharks, and it's dangerous.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Tell me about the life on the I was gonna call it a boat.
It was cool.
It's a ship.
I mean, it was just.
What was your job?
I was a fireman, maintenance.
So, with your day-to-day job, what were you doing?
Just check stuff, do maintenance work, do fire drills, stuff like that.
How did you pick that job where they gave it to you?
They gave it to me. They assigned it to me.
Did you want to be a fireman when you got out? Or?
No, yeah. Okay, so I went through that too. When I came back, I eventually ended up getting a medical honorable discharge. I get migraine headaches so bad that I throw up. They come probably once a month, once every other month. And I get them extremely bad. So they eventually that caused me to get I got a medical honorable discharge after about a year and a half, almost 2 years service, and I got a pension. And when I came home, I just assumed in the 90s, I don't know if you remember affirmative action. Excuse me. So there was something in the 90s about like racial quotas in certain jobs, police, firemen, city workers, Caltrans, construction, county workers. They had too many white people. They couldn't hire. If you got hired, they wouldn't promote you ever. They needed, I think it wasn't black, it was Asians and Latinos they needed to promote in these departments. I went to the LA Fire Department thinking, I'm a veteran. I got a fucking good rating. I was a fireman in the Navy. I passed the test like over like 80%, pretty high 80s. I should have been immediately catapulted in the LA Fire Department. And they're like, yeah, well, we can technically hire you, but you're going to have the worst fucking station. You're going to do all this. You're going to be probably stationed in Watts. You're going to have you're not going to be able to be promoted probably ever because we have these things going on, these quotas. And I'm like, it made me mad. It made me think like, no offense, but like, what the fuck does that matter? If I'm better qualified, what does it matter if I'm white or Asian?
Right.
It should be, I think in those jobs, when you're like responders, cops,
saving people's lives.
Yeah, if you're more qualified than me, that's what matters.
Yeah.
It should be no race shit on those jobs. If I'm better qualified, I don't give a fuck what your quota is. I should have that job because I have a better chance at saving someone's life. But they didn't look at it that way because of all the drama that was going on in the 90s. They're like, yeah, what I did was my dumb ass turned that into a way, well, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to go back and commit crime and sell drugs and do drugs.
So you went right back into it?
Right back.
And then you went to prison again after that?
Yeah.
Fuck, dog.
Dumb choice.
And then your last time you got out of prison, well, what'd you go for the last time you went back? What'd you go in for?
My last time was the longest time. I did 3 different terms that added up to 19 years. 3 years and some change. Come home for like, I don't know, 90 days. 3 years and 8 months, 98 days. And then I'm back in for just short of 13 years.
You're always going back for drugs and shit?
No, the first couple of times was like assault, I don't know, drugs, stupid shit. The last time was pretty bad. It was kidnapping, attempted murder, felony vandalism, felony criminal threats, and home invasion.
Tell me that story.
So from the last time I had paroled, I was home 98 days, and I remember I immediately got right back into selling drugs. Bought me a Cadillac, had me my little side partner, Johanna. We drove around selling drugs, committing crime. Well, there was one day where...
She was Mexican?
Yeah. She's the homie. One day...
She was your homie or she was like your lady?
She was, at that point, I didn't have a lady. It was like, you're my partner. We did everything together. You know, obviously we'd probably hook up, but it was like, you're my dog. We did everything. We did everything together. We got high together. We had sex together. We caused crime. It wasn't my girlfriend because I wasn't capable of having a girlfriend.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But she was with me all the time. There was one day where I realized, one of the first times I can remember, honestly, of I don't want to do drugs anymore. And I told her, I need to try and get sober. I've been out of prison just short of 3 months. I'd like to try and stay out this time. I gave her all my dope. I gave her a bunch of cash, and I dropped her off at her homegirl's house down the street in a trailer park. And I said, listen, I know you're going to do all the dope. I know you're going to want to call me in 10 minutes. Don't. I'm going to sleep. I'm turning the phones off. I'm going to sleep.
You could do an ounce in 10 minutes?
No, I'm exaggerating. But like I knew what I'm saying is I knew she was going to call me and bug me.
Okay.
And this is somebody I love, mind you. When you hear how the shit that happened, like, I love this girl. I will always love this girl. So I'm like, I'm going to sleep it off. Because when you've been doing meth as long as I have, back then in early 2000, meth was meth. It was better meth. It wasn't this weird shit you see on the streets today. I had been up for weeks. I'm like, I'm going to eat some food. I'm crashing. I'm turning the phones off. I hadn't slept in weeks. I'm going to sleep. Well, my first day into it, a few hours later, like I thought, the phone started ringing. I didn't answer it for like a full day, I think, maybe a day. And then I'm like, what do you want? She's like, they did the dope. We did the dope. I don't know. The dope's gone. I have no money. I ate the food. And she goes, come get me. And I'm like, fuck you, bitch. I love you, but fuck you. I told you no. I knew you were going to call me. No, I'm going to sleep again. Don't call me. Phone won't stop ringing. I remember my cell phone. I had the baddest phone that was out. It was a Sony Razr. Do you remember those little flips? There was hot pink. It was a flip phone with a little, it didn't have video yet. You could take pictures, but that was the hottest thing back then. And I'm looking at this phone and she's calling and calling and calling. And I'm like, I don't know why I didn't think just turn the fucking phone off.
Right.
It was a simple fix for a simple problem. Turn the phone off, Matt. Get back to trying to get sober. Because I think what could have been different if I didn't respond this way. And I finally answered it. And she goes, you know, what triggered me was they were being a dick to her. Now, I could be a dick to her because that's my homie. That's my dog. I could fuck with you. But the people that I just gave money to and brought some food to and gave them dope to take care of my homie for me were disrespecting her. And in my head, I'm like, no, that can't happen. So I jump in the Cadillac. I didn't have a gun. I grabbed an 8-pound sledgehammer. Now, when I'm on meth, I'm fucking medieval. I'm not coming up to shoot up the house with an SKS or a 9mm. I'm fucking coming at you with some garden tools that will fucking scare you. And I grabbed me an 8-pound sledgehammer, and I had a 93 Cadillac Eldorado with exhaust down on Dayton's fucking system, all that shit. And I pull up in this fucking trailer doing like 90. The neighbor hears this. The neighbor's approaches on the fucking front porch. I didn't see that he had cameras all over. This trailer park was kind of like a hot trailer area where a lot of bad stuff, crime happened, right? Tweakers and all kinds of stolen shit going on in this trailer park. His cameras are on his porch where he's standing looking at me. I didn't see them. I didn't know that they're audio and video. Oh, shit. I get out of the car and I look at him, and he said something like, I called the police, and I said, fuck you, punk. And I go to the house. He's watching the whole thing. I climb up the back steps to the trailer. I hit that door fucking as hard as my fucking sweaty fucking tired ass could. Broke the door. I go in. I grab her by the hair, and I pull her down the stairs with me. And she's coming willingly, but I'm just like, I got her, and I'm pushing her downstairs. She's like, okay, let's go. She's agreeing to come with me. The camera doesn't know that, though. I push her into the front seat, close the door, and I say, sit there, keep the car running, I'll be right back. I go back up the stairs, and I walk in, and I said, you guys are going to disrespect my friend after I gave you fucking dope? I fucking hit every ceramic thing in that home with a fucking, I smashed their fridge, I smashed their sinks, I smashed their toilets, I smashed everything. They've now blockaded themselves in the back room. I didn't know they had their kids with them. These people are so foul, they're shooting and slamming and smoking meth in front of children. So they're all back in the back room now. I've now decimated this house with an 8-pound sledgehammer. And all I hear through the door is, his name is Mohawk Matt. He's got a green Cadillac. He's out front. He's on parole. He's a prison gang member. He's a street gang member. He's 6'1". She's described me, and she puts it on speaker, and she goes, "We're en route." I knew what time it was. I've just been described, and I'm like, fuck. At that point, I'm a gangster, so I'm like, there's no way out of this. My who I am just went out on an APB. So I get back out to the car. That guy says, I called the cops. I know who you are. He said something. I looked at him and I pointed that sledgehammer at him, not knowing I'm on camera and audio. And I said, I'll fucking kill you if you testify on me, motherfucker.
Damn.
And he looks at me with these eyes like scared, goes back in his house, closes the door. I get in the car, I take off. You can already hear the sirens. Sheriff's Department, that was out in Santa Clarita in a trailer park. Sheriff's Department in Santa Clarita, they don't fucking play. They will beat your fucking ass and arrest you while they're beating your ass. I take them on a high-speed chase up through Acton going towards Palmdale. I make it halfway on the road, not the freeway, not the 14 freeway. I'm on the Soledad Canyon Road, the back roads through Acton. Halfway there, I'm like, you can hear the cop cars somewhere off in the distance. I can't see them at this point, but they're on their way. There's a helicopter up. I know I haven't seen it, but there's a helicopter up already with me as an APB. I looked at her and I said, get out of the car. And she goes, what? I pull over. I said, get out. Here's the rest of my money. Fucking, if you can help me in court, that would be cool. And she goes, I got you, dog. Don't trip. I leave her. I hit a bitch and I drive back. I forget where I got around them somehow, and I parked my car. And I get out. As soon as I get out, they surround me and they take me. And it was I fought that case in LA County for like 18 months. And if you know that, bro, you die in the LA County fighting a case. But this fucking bitch took the stand and said, fuck you. He didn't do shit. She had my back. She goes, nah, I didn't know kidnapping. So we went to trial, and because of her, they dropped the kidnapping, they dropped the assault, they dropped a few charges because of her. Because she's like, nah, I wanted to go. I was with him. She goes, that was my home. Like, nobody kidnapped me. I was willingly going. She said it on the stand for me.
Sick.
Yeah, sick, because I've never seen someone do that. Everybody else backs out. Yeah, I got you, dog, when you go to court. Ha! Yeah. Never. But she did. She did it.
And she didn't get in trouble.
Nah. Well, she was a gang. She would tell the guy, I heard her arguing, like, fuck you, punk. You're not going to make me say what he didn't do.
Yeah.
We just need you to say this. Fuck you. I heard her in the arguing. Well, they eventually got her and brought her to, we were in two different rooms in the sheriff's station, so I could hear her arguing with him through the next interview room. It was funny, but I got a bunch of time, and yeah.
It's fucking nuts, though.
Yeah.
Fuck. And you got, how much time to give you for that?
I think they gave me 9 years, and I turned it into 12 years in about 6.5, almost short of 13 years.
Once you're in there, dog, and then like you're adding time to your time, right? At what point you're like, all right, I'm gonna stop fucking around, I'm gonna get out?
Well, I didn't do that. What happened to me was I kept doing that, and I got involved, did a bunch of dumb shit. What happened was they started redoing our points system in like 2012, and I got called to the counselor's office one day, and she goes, Camerano, and I'm like, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. I thought it was just my annual checkup with the counselor. And she goes, dude, you should have been home. Because I never, when you're actively involved in prison and you're doing your thing, I never filed for points back. I never put in there's forms you can fill to send to your counselor to, like, even if you get in trouble, get a write-up, you can actually appeal it later. And I forget what it's called, but you can, you request time back. You can get time off for good behavior once you've already it's been like a year incident free. Okay, they'll knock 6 months off. Well, I never did that because I was involved. Well, so she calls me. She goes, dude, what the fuck? You have all this credit. She goes, you're out of here. And I'm thinking, yeah, right, whatever. Next year, maybe 2 years. She goes, dude, you should have been home. I have to get you out of here on the next thing smoking.
Oh, shit.
And within a couple weeks, I was transpacked, paroled, dress outs in the tank, and I was home. It happened so fast because I didn't even think it was going to happen. I didn't want it to happen. And the hardest part, one of the things I was talking about with my friend in San Diego on his show, I had a really cool cellie. My cellie was like my best friend. Anybody that's been in the joint knows that our cellie's like, he was like my best friend. And I remember we made a plan the night before. When I went back and told him, he's like, no, I was like, no, fuck that. I'm not going home. I don't want to go home. I made a knife. I was like, fucking, who don't we like? Let me hit somebody so we can stay.
Damn.
And he helped me do it, helped me make the knife. He goes, fuck yeah, because we were road dogs. When I woke up, he had tears in his eyes. His name's Randy from Antelope Valley, a righteous-ass white boy. I fucking love his life, dude. I remember him telling me he was a lifer without parole. He stabbed someone. He came upon, leaving a liquor store, he bumped into a black guy who was raping an old lady. And he hit the dude with a 2x4 a couple times, and the dude fell and died. In the process of a rape, and there was proof of this, they still, because it was a white guy attacking him, they gave him life without parole. They looked at it as a hate crime. They don't care that he interrupted a rape. It went down like that. He got life. No chance, no parole ever. That's it, life without. In the morning, I got up and I'm getting ready and we're having our coffee. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this right now. And he looks at me and he's crying. And I'll never forget him putting his hand on my shoulder and he says, no, we're not doing it. And I'm like, why? What the fuck? Well, I'll do it. I got it. Don't trip. You stay here, watch my property. Because I knew him back. You get in trouble in jail. You go to the hole for 90 days or something. Nice 6 months. And he's crying and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, I need you to go home for me. And he goes, I thought about it last night. He goes, I'm never going home, bro. He goes, I'm never, I don't get that. I don't have family. I'm here. This is home. He goes, if you have a chance, whether it's by accident or not, he goes, I fucking love you, but leave me some books. You got to go. You got to go home, dog. And he said, do it for me. And I remember I was crying. It was like, it's a request from a dead man. Based the way I looked at it, was like, this is the homie. He's going to die in here. And so I said, I argued with him, but after a while, you're not going to argue with someone. Like I said, all right. And I did it. When I got home for the first couple of years, I sent him pictures and cards, and then I lost track with him. I can't find him now. I don't know where he's at.
Damn.
The letters stopped coming back. But I did what I kept my word. I came home and I did the best I could to live, and I'm still living, and I promised him I would. And I did that for all my homeboys that ain't, because there's a lot of good guys, and there's a lot of good guys in there that done some dumb shit that ain't coming home. And every day I try to do what I'm doing to represent my area, the Valley, and be a good example for a lot of those dudes that ain't coming home. While still respecting the journey that they're on and what they're going through, I do my best, and I try to help as many people for those motherfuckers.
When you came out, they put you in a halfway house?
No, I paroled because I have a family, immediate family that were willing to take me. I went right home. I paroled to my mom's house.
Damn.
Yeah.
Was your mom expecting you to come home?
Yeah, she picked me up. She picked me up and drove me all the way home.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How was like that first year out?
It was horrible. I had PTSD. I washed my boxers in the sink. I wore shower shoes around the house, in the shower, my mom's shower, in a nice, newly remodeled home. I slowly but surely got addicted back to drugs because I couldn't handle the pressure. There was too many choices. I never forget going to a liquor store and getting a soda or an AM/PM. When I went in, there was Coke, Mountain Dew, root beer, Sprite, Squirt. When I came home, Coke had 17 different versions. Sprite had all, like, I was overwhelmed and I started to get scared. In prison, you get a routine. You have your routine, you do it. It doesn't change. And you get used to it. And it's easy. So I had a lot of PTSD, which led me into that's where my drug addiction kicked off extremely bad.
So like looking at all the choices kind of like freaked you out?
Yeah, I was overwhelmed with everything. And my overwhelmingness that I had was suffering from, and the PTSD led me to start doing drugs. And I eventually turned my mom, that room she had ready for me, I turned it into a jail cell, and then by proxy turned it into my own hell. Because I started using drugs and I didn't leave much. I had a girl brought over when I needed a girl for her company.
Yeah.
I had drugs delivered, and I would sneak in and out late at night to get dope and come back. And I turned crystal meth and heroin into a really bad addiction at my mom's house. And I destroyed her home. Slowly but surely, I destroyed my mom's home.
I feel like a lot of drug addicts, people who use drugs. You need like a drug dungeon.
Well, I wasn't a social user. There's a lot of people that can do drugs out in public socially, cocaine, speed, I don't know, alcohol. I isolate because I'm not happy with myself. So I would do it in the privacy of my mom's, this locked room that I turned into a jail cell or a dungeon.
So after, how long did it take you to like you said, tear down that house? Like
for about 3 years, I destroyed my mom's new $1 million home in Santa Clarita. I literally thought I was Tim the Toolman Tweaker Taylor running around with boxers, a tool belt, a hard hat with a headlamp, fucking boots and high socks, thinking I'm upgrading this house while I'm slowly but surely destroying their new home that they bought. And by proxy, my brain is turning into oatmeal, shooting out fucking needles full of meth in my arm 6 times a day.
You know what? I never heard about anyone shooting meth. I always hear fools smoking.
It's insane. It's insane.
It's just a crazier high.
Yeah, you hyper focus on sex for a little while, and then I get into what I call violence. Give me about an hour or two to focus on porn or sex with a girl after you initially do a shot, and then I'm going to get really violent, and I'm going hitting the streets, robbing and stealing and or attacking people for absolutely no reason.
And then eventually, you're praying and shit, right?
I got to a point where like the last couple of weeks, this went on for a long time. I violated parole a few times, had to go to rehab a couple of times. So it led to the end where one day me and my father got in an altercation. I hit my dad from behind with one of those old school digital alarm clocks because my brain told me he's fucking my girlfriend. Mind you, at that point, I ain't had a girlfriend in years. I was so fucked up, but my brain told me that my dad was hooking up with this girl that was my girlfriend. And she's in a state of Pennsylvania at that point. She's been not even on our seaboard. And I hit my dad from behind with his alarm clock, and the look on his face was something that I don't think any kid wants to see on his father's face. My father hit every emotion in those eyes, from hurt, anger, depression, sadness, let down, just horrified, humiliated, just upset. All of those things rotated through his eyes at one moment. And I went back up to my room expecting, I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to jail? Nothing happened. For some reason at this point, this is the 2-week mark. I had enough drugs that it never ended, which was weird. I hadn't been leaving the house to get drugs. And for some reason, the bag just never got smaller. And for 2 weeks, at that moment, it was the 2-week mark. And I remember saying, I believe that Jesus died for my sins, but I also believe in Odin because that's my culture's God. And I remember praying to both of them because I didn't know who's stronger at that point. I didn't know who's better, who's stronger. I'm praying to Jesus and I'm praying to Odin. I don't fucking know what to do. I don't know how to stop this, but I know that I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm crying as I say this prayer 6 times a day also. And I'm doing all these shots of meth I'm getting higher and higher. And then on this, I think it was like at the 2-week mark, I woke up, same prayers. I didn't wake up. Let's just be honest. When you're doing drugs like that, you're not falling asleep. You're not waking up. I would pass out and come to. And when I came to one day on a pile of filthy, sweaty laundry that was on a mattress on the ground in a disgusting room, I had porn on a monitor. I had a pile of filthy, soiled clothes that I've been sleeping next to pretend somebody was next to me on a mattress on the floor of a destroyed room, drywall smashed, graffiti all over the fucking upstairs of my parents' home. I remember I had enough drugs to do a shot. I did 17 shots of meth and heroin this day. And they weren't working, and I'm getting mad. Now, if you're a junkie and you're injecting drugs and you're not missing the vein and they're registering and they're working, it's very frustrating to not get the feeling that you're expecting to come from this. And on the 17th shot, I did the 17th shot on the vein of my penis, and it worked, and I didn't get high. And I'm so angry, and I'm frustrated, and I'm looking around, and I remember I wasn't smart enough to realize, but it's finally snapped, and I'm like, I've been praying for this moment. I don't know which one of you, Odin, Jesus, I don't know which one of you answered, but fuck, I love you both. One of you answered my prayer, and it was when you've done 17 shots of meth or heroin. I have enough drugs in me that probably more than Kurt Cobain had when he overdosed, and nothing's happening. I'm completely normal. I'm not insane. I'm not in a psychosis. I had to realize there was a higher power. Something decided to get my back and help me and answer that prayer. And I got up and I was crying, and I hit the door that just wasn't even on the door frame anymore. Door falls in. I run out to the top of the staircase, and I called my mom. My mom must have known it, and she comes running up the stairs, this little old lady, and she just tells me, "Are you ready?" And I start crying. I said, "Yeah, please don't make me go back in that room. I'll do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care what you want me to do, Mom. I'll do it." And she brought me down. You know that nice living room all of our parents have with the plastic on the couch we're not allowed to sit in? She brought me into that living room.
Damn.
Bought me a little tiny TV, a couple stack of really normal DVDs so I could watch normal TV. And she said, I'm going to get you on the waiting list for Tarzana Treatment Center, and I'm going to get you in detox. We'll start from there. And she bought me some alcohol. She's like, this is not going to be fun for you coming off this shit, but we're going to keep you off. Just drink alcohol until we get you into detox. And that was a wrap. That was May 18th, 2018.
You've been clean since
I've been
then.
clean since then. I'm just short of 6 years.
And then like you also hang around like other tattoo people that've been in prison. Like there's never been like this peer pressure. You see other people do drugs and you get the idea of it.
No, I don't like to be around like people doing coke, meth, or heroin. But I'm comfortable enough now that I can go to bars. I can go to these places. If you want to get high, cool. Weed doesn't bother me. I don't smoke it. But like I can be around stuff, but I know where my limits are and I know when it's time for me to exit.
And then from that moment when you decided to get sober to now, like what was that journey like the last 6 years?
Yeah, it's been hard. For 3 years, I had to do everything that AA or the NA program asked me to do: meetings, commitments, conventions, recovery events, all of it. I did all of it for 3.5 years. And at 3.5 years, I realized I don't like a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to take this stuff that I like, and I'm going to use this stuff in my life. And now I do recovery my way. After doing it their way, I had to get the foundation of learning and fine-tuning it. Now I do it my way. I sponsor guys. I help guys get sober. I travel the world. I speak to people all around the world about it. And I've been helping in the tattoo community, because you'd be surprised. A lot of people in the tattoo community need help with recovery.
Yeah, because a lot of tattoo artists get paid in cash, and then they set on a bunch of money, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing they want to do is party.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So you sponsor people like through Instagram or just?
Well, I use social media as a huge tool to network with recovery. Yeah.
Damn. How does that feel, helping people?
It feels good. Well, I mean, because of what I put my parents through and the community I was in, fuck, I owe them. I owe them. At least if I can help someone else not do that where they're at with their family and their community, that's my job.
How's your relationship with your parents now?
My dad is always going to be strained because he just is still, he's still living in 2018. He's never left 2018. He's still upset. My mom and me are great. Completely great.
It's fucking nuts, dog.
Yeah.
Well, dog, crazy story. I mean, I love how you basically battled through all this shit and you're still here, dog. You're still strong and you turned over a new leaf.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're looking forward to where you want to work on?
I've been trying to get in the movies. It's not really, Hollywood's not knocking down my door like I expected. I assume because I have this look and this history that they'll just, let's put them in a movie. No, it's not happening.
You think you can act?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can act. I know that they take classes and shit. Like Jay was telling me about there's these classes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're expensive. Number one, I don't have the money to pay for these classes, but I mean, I can act. I do radio shows. I do modeling. I do videos. No offense. It can't be that hard.
Yeah.
You know?
What is like your like? Do you have like a goal? What kind of movie you want to be in, or who do you want to?
Well,
act
I'm
with?
friends with Conejo. Shout out to Conejo, and like I like stuff like Tax Collector, like he did, and I like those kind of. I mean, looking at me, obviously, I'm going to be typecasted in what roles I play.
Right.
Any jail stuff, gangster stuff, lowrider stuff, white boy stuff, anything like that, I'm down for.
Are you big into movies as far as watching them?
Bro, that's books and movies, and music is my passion.
What are some of your favorite books and movies?
My favorite books, I got 4, all by the same author, Alexander Dumas. When I was busted, these 4 books helped me get out of prison. The Count of Monte Cristo, phenomenal. And the Three Musketeers series. But I've read everything from all the religious histories from all of our cultures and history and war and strategy. But those 4 books are amazing. Favorite movies? Man, True Romance, anything by Quentin Tarantino. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan.
Dope.
Yeah.
I heard that fool's like he put himself in the. You see that he put himself in that movie with that actress, the Mexican actress, Salma Hayek.
He put himself in a movie with her?
Yeah, she was a stripper, and then like she put her toes in
What
his
are you talking
mouth.
about? From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
I was all like, damn, because supposedly he has like a foot fetish and shit, and then
He does.
You got Salma Hayek.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
this dude is such a genius. He fine-tunes those soundtracks. This dude searches through thousands and thousands of hours of 70s and 80s music to make his soundtracks perfect.
What about writing? You think you could write a movie?
I mean,
Because you're a big reader.
I could probably write. Me and my boy Brian have talked about that. It just takes sitting down and committing to it.
Yeah.
But I probably could write for sure.
Yeah, I think you could put together a good story.
Yeah. Well, we think there needs to be a really good graffiti documentary. Mm-hmm. We're working on that.
Did you watch that Esteban Oriol?
The hip hop thing?
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I'm friends with him.
Yeah, you should watch it. I think it's a good one.
I will. What's that? 50 years of hip hop or something?
Yeah. Then he also did like the
LA one. What's it called?
LA Originals.
Hard.
I think you could do something like that where what was that tattoo artist?
Chewy Quintana. Wait, which one was in there?
He did the
cartoon.
Cartoon.
Yeah.
I think that would be dope. Do something like that.
Yeah.
Fuck, dog. Well, dude, thank you so much for pulling up to the podcast, man.
You're welcome,
sharing your story. I'm sure there's people out there gonna hear this and like, relate to it, because I'm sure everybody has a family member that's either been in prison or has a similar story.
Yeah.
Maybe not as similar as yours, but like, along the lines of it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you, dog, pulling up to the podcast. Such a small podcast like mine, and you pulled up and shared your story. Like, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So if you have anytime you want to come back and share any other stories, feel free to just tap in, dog. I got you. Is there anything else that you want to like promote or tell people that you're working on now?
No, I mean, I'm just working. I work for Sullen Clothing. I do my best to help them do sales and carry merchandise and help other tattoo artists. And I don't mind anybody that wants to talk about recovery. I pretty much answer all DMs. I'm one of those guys. I'll answer all my DMs. Just don't send me no weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't get a titty pic. I get weird stuff from guys. It's the weirdest thing,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, you're like a modern day like warrior kind of. I don't want to call you a savage, but like a warrior, like you've been through like the modern day, like, city warfare type shit. I think.
Well, definitely coming from my era, it was a different breed and a different time.
Yeah.
We went through real stuff with real graffiti, real gangs, real wars. And now it's it's shifted to a different place. So, I mean, I've definitely been to war and come back. That's for sure.
Damn. Well, again, dog, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys are still watching this, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share it with your homies, send it to whoever you think would resonate with the story. And like we always do, man, pull up, turn up, stay lit. Let's get it.
Let's get it.